Hello, Terry Engler here, and I'd like to welcome you to another tidbit of timely truth. Is there anyone out there having feelings of confusion, frustration, anger, or anxiety about the things going on in our country and around the world? Well, unless you've deliberately shut yourself off from current events, there are likely many of you who would admit to having feelings such as those. We have a former president who's the presumptive nominee to represent his party in an upcoming presidential election, a man who is a party to 4 separate legal cases. We have a president whose cognitive skills are constantly in question, and rightly so, and he is also going to represent his party in that election. There's a war going on between 2 factions whose latest conflict comes as the result of bloodthirsty terrorists raping, murdering, kidnapping, and torturing the other faction's people. And there's also that faction pledging to eradicate the world of that terrorist group, and all the while being chastised for persecuting that other faction's people. We have university students at some of our most highly respected universities protesting and clamoring for that terrorist group to continue carrying out those atrocities until that opposing faction is wiped from the face of the earth. My goodness, after hearing all of that, who wouldn't have feelings of anxiety about the future? Now, please understand that everything that I've just described is not an effort to start a political discussion. After all, that would be a violation of our tidbit rules, right? So I hope you can look at all these situations that I've described and see the objectivity that I've tried to show in my attempt to be fair. You see, my goal in this discussion, believe it or not, is to encourage each of us. And I know you might be wondering, where is there any encouragement to be found in any of these situations? Well, if that's you, I'm glad you're wondering about that, because I have some answers. You see, Jesus spoke of times to come that are similar to these situations in Matthew 24. He said to those listening in verse number 4, and I believe to us, as he was speaking about the signs of the end of the age, he said, "Watch out that no one deceives you." And then in verse 6, he adds these words, "You're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, because these things must take place." How could these words relate to those situations that are currently taking place in our world? Well, first of all, who knows what to believe about what comes through our media? The conservative right spins a story in one way, and the liberal left spins it in an entirely opposite way. Some say guilty, while others scream innocent. And depending on the news source, one supports retaliation for those terroristic attacks, while others vilify the means by which the retaliation is being carried out. Some voice their constitutional right to protest, while others take issue with those protests, believing that they have gone far beyond those constitutional rights. Do you see deception? Jesus said, "Watch out that no one deceives you." I described one of the wars taking place in our world, and there are yet more. One of the world's superpowers has invaded a former country that at one time was a part of that superpower. Ongoing conflicts in Africa, more people killed in Nigeria than in any other country in the world. Centuries-long conflicts between Muslims and Jews around the globe. And there are even potential warring factions right here in our country that are rumored to be heading toward a potential civil war. War! Jesus said you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. But the encouraging news that I have for you today, Jesus goes on to say in verse number 13, "The one who endures to the end will be saved." So what does he mean by the end? Well, the writer to Hebrews encourages us to run with endurance the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. The Apostle Paul knew something about that race. He told his student Timothy in 2 Timothy 4, 7, and 8, "I've fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And there is reserved for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord will give me on that day. And not only to me, but to all those who loved his appearing." So my encouragement to you today is this: Read the last chapter of God's Word. As believers in Jesus, we can be assured that we win.